Hey Woodturners, I'm Captain Eddie Castle and welcome to my shop. Today we have a nice little project. Really, it's a simple little project, but it's a skill builder. And you get to use a couple of component parts that you can, or components that you can buy from the catalog services to kind of bring a project along a little bit more. You see this walking stick? Now I've got drop foot syndrome from a back injury. And I will find every crack in every sidewalk from here to there and back. So I use a walking stick to remind myself of the cadence. So in my mind, I lift my foot. Yeah, you think you learned that when you were 1 year old, how to lift your foot. Well, you learn it all over again after a traumatic back injury because the nerves don't work the same. Well, we're not going to go into all that, but I used a stick, and I've used a cane. There was a period where I couldn't take a step without having a cane, and then I kind of gradually grew away from a cane to a walking staff. Now this one is from Cabela's. You can see that on there, Cabela's, and it's adjustable, so you can turn it out. And I like mine at about 155 millimeters. It's about that high. You know, it's the right height. It's got a nice strap to go on it. And it comes with a very plain head with some kind of compass device. Proud of it. Yeah, kind of plain. You want to change that, don't you? You really, really do. Because you're a wood turner. And you know what you got to do now? Of course you do. You gotta watch. Hey, before we get into this variation on a theme, I have to remind you that Captain Eddie Castellan, Big Eye Productions, www.eddiecastellan.com, this address right here, is your source for carbide cutters. So if you're into the new fad of carbide cutters for your wood turning tools, or you want to get into it, the place to go is right here. Check it out. I've got the bars, the cutters, the rigs, the combos, the handle, everything you need at greatly reduced prices over the catalog services. And we ship almost same day you order. So if you're looking to save some money and replacement cutters, we're less than one half the price of the other guy. Check me out. This address, www.eddiecastellan.com. For cutters, go to the cutters only page. Now, back to the project. The material we're going to use today is a piece of Choctaw. This is Mexican, and I hadn't seen much of it, but I really love the color of it. And it holds this color if you put the right finish on, and I'll show you that finish. But I had a piece about a foot long, 2 inches by 2 inches, and that's what we're going to use. And I did a couple of these for in-laws. Now, what I'm going to make is a head to go on this cane with a compass concealed in it. But let me show you what I have here to start with. This head comes off, and this is a 1/4 screw and a tightening disc. So you can put a camera on this and make it a monopod to take steady pictures. Okay, kind of critical if you're going to take outdoor pictures. Now, the handle, the knob itself, that was ornamented on Latezilla several years ago, and it's a 3 bumps on 6 or 3 bumps on 8 pattern. It's a true rose, and I have a little knob shape to it. But the clever device in it is, oh, let me see if I just tapped it on the floor. There it is. It unscrews. You see that? That's my stash of quarters. Why a stash of quarters? Well, for one period of time when I worked in New Orleans, and we live in the burbs, I would catch the streetcar or the trolley from out right near here on up into town and then walk over to the office. And that would save that $7 or $8 a day or $10 a day or $12 a day that they charge for parking. But when I got on a trolley in the morning, I had my 5 quarters in my hand. But when I went to get back on in the afternoon, I better have 5 more. And this was my concealed source for 5 quarters, and I wouldn't spend it in the drink machine during the day. But the piece we're going to make today is going to be very similar. You can see we don't have any brass showing, so it looks like it's all knob. Now, the key to this whole thing is that little threaded insert right there. That's available from Lee Valley Veritas jar rings, and I believe I can put the number up here. I'll look it up and put the number, because you're going to call me and ask me for the number, so I'll put the number up. Now, and the other part is we're going to put a 1/4 20 fastener in the bottom, and for the life of me it escaped me what it was, but I'll have the name up here right now. And then we will have it, and it won't be bearing on wood. That when you put it on and tighten it up, it'll be going into metal threads pulling on it, so it won't pop right off. Now, this has been used for about 7 years, 8 years now. Shows no sign of wear and tear. The finish on it is the finish I'm going to show you in a few minutes. So let's get the spinning a little bit. I took the block, put it between centers, knocked it down, and got it round. Then I put it in my jaws over here. Let me get in here so we can see it. That's my profile jaws. Now, this is being held just so that we can drill a hole in it. And what are we going to drill? We're going to drill a hole that comes with the Ruth Niles bottle stopper mandrel, because that's what we're going to use to spin this on. Boy, that was a real screw up on it. Go about 1 inch deep, 1.25 inches deep. That's it. I could have done that on a drill press, holding it, but that's her drill. It's a 23/64 drill, and it's sized so when you put it on a mandrel, it's the right size. So let's hook up the mandrel, and then we'll continue. This is Ruth's bottle stopper mandrel. You see that cut in the thread? Well, that cut in the thread means that 23/64, which is what, just under 3/8, will thread right into it. You put this in your number 2, and then you use a drawbar. A drawbar is a threaded rod that goes clean through the headstock, and you tighten it up to pull this into the headstock. Yeah, I know a number 2 Morse taper is supposed to lock into the headstock. It doesn't pull it in with enough force to hold it, okay? It would vibrate out. So then we just, with the right bit, and you hear it, now look how true that runs. Just that quick. We have a block up, and it's true. If you follow me, you do know that every chance I get, I will be between centers. So I'll bring up the revolving tailstock. Now, I'm going to separate the cap from the bottom, and then I'm going to take this cap, put it in another chuck, and insert the rings in it. But I do it like this because I want it to be spinning true over here when I separate it. That way when it comes back, it is true. To do that, I'm just going to screw this up a little bit. Want this to be very parallel to each other so that when it runs in that other rig, it works. Then to separate it, I'm going to take my parting tool, I'm going to step down a little bit and remove the cap. This stuff cuts like butter, it's really sweet. The parting tool I'm using is made by D-Way Tools. Dave's a wood turner who also manufactures tools. His tools are awesome. And of all the gouges that I've looked at over the years for a perfect flute, Dave's got it. In fact, in my opinion, he's the only one that's got it. Easy when you part it off. You don't want to spin it. You don't want to knock this out and get it all banged up. Okay, and you notice I did take the tailstock away so it was free spinning. Now that's where the receiver is going to be. That's where the cap is going to go, or the fastener. You won't believe, I got a major brain cramp on that, and I know what that's called. And this piece is going to sit for a few minutes. We're going to go back to the chuck. As I chuck this up, I don't want to pull it out of round, so I want to take a quick look at it. And you see, I could pull it out of alignment. So I want to get it as close to alignment as I can, so I don't lose the great grain match I have right now. Another way to do that would be to bring up my tailstock a little bit, find that center, and then stick with it. And I can tighten this down. This nice soft wood, it's going to tighten down really nice. On harder woods like Cocobolo or some of the oaks, you may have a problem, but that's pretty true. We're going to stick with that now. Let me show you the parts. The parts we're going to use today, this ring here is from Lee Valley Veritas. It's a two-piece rig right here. Now this is about 25 millimeters. And I don't know where to measure it at, but there are two sizes. But I'm using this ring in the base because I can drop this liquid-filled compass, which is really nice, in this pocket right there if I want to have a compass in there. Okay. Now, to do that, that means the female rings would go on the base, the male rings would go on the top, and this is so tight that it takes a few minutes to bounce it back out. And when we set it, we're going to set it in wood the right way. Not that this is the wrong way, but this doesn't work at all. We're holding it in the jaws, and I brought you up close and personal. This is a 3/8 inch shallow flute gouge. It's called a fingernail grind. I do this with the exact same setting that I did my Ellsworth type gouge. See that? No difference. 247 grind, the relief, the whole works. Both of these gouges are from D-Way Tools. In fact, almost all the tools you'll see today came from Dave. Yeah. I'm going to just clean up this bottom. I love this little tool because it lets you get a really, really fine cut. Okay, I don't want to take a whole lot of wood off in this direction up here. Why? Because I think I can still get a good grain match on this, and that always looks good. Now, these are the male jaws, and I need to set them in here. First relief is going to be that center, that center section, and then I'm going to put in for the shoulder. To do both of those, I'm going to use a little detail gouge, a little detail tool. I can take a little bit more out the center than I need to. I do like to eyeball this rather than use a micrometer or a caliper. I just do a shallow little cut, take a look at it, kind of get my bearings and go back into it. You may think it's slower, but for me, I get a nicer job. I really like doing it that way. It's like hitting a golf shot with your eyes closed when you're waiting on just a muscle memory to do the whole thing. Now there we are, you see? I can come down in here, I can recess this a little bit more, and that ring will be perfect. And that's what I'm looking for, is that ring to be perfect. We're going to set this using a medium thick super glue. See, we're almost there. A little bit of wobble. Now remember, it's a lot harder to put it back on than to take it off. So if you think that cut was enough and was close and you should do one more, stop. Because it was enough. You see that? Now, I'm a little bit proud on the shoulders, on the sides, so I'm going to go a little deeper. And when I drop this in, it's going to fit up flush, no brass showing, but I can always correct it if a little bit of brass is showing. Okay? Now I'm going to glue this in. When I do glue this in, one more cut. I told you about that one more cut, didn't I? Okay. There. That's it. When I do glue this in, what I'm going to do is put some medium thick super glue around it. Make sure it's kind of congeals a little bit. And then I'm going to put the ring in. And then I'm going to bring up a soft touch to bear on it. The whole time I'm going to be watching these threads. I want to make sure that the threads stay very clean. I'll glue this, then we'll come back. Now, that's my soft touch. And I had folks say, Cap, I'm looking in the catalogs, I can't find soft touch. You don't buy it, you make it. It is essentially a block of wood with a 5/8 inch hole drilled in it, and then you tap this with a 3/4 by 10 tap that you get at your Ace Hardware store. Yeah, I know I'm going to piss off the other catalogs people, but it's only about a $12 or $14 item at your Ace Hardware store, and they can order this from you for you. If they don't have it on the rack, tell them you want one. You're a good customer and you're keeping them in business. Go ahead and use that line, it's okay. And they'll order you one, and it takes about a week to get it, but you'll save. Actually, if you do it today, you'll probably get it faster than any catalog service around. You drill it, you tap it, then you dump a little bit of cedar glaze, you dump a little super glue in it, you roll it around, you let it set for a day, nothing less than a day, and then you retap it, and the threads are a little bit harder and firmer. If you don't wait a day, you'll be out in the yard with a propane torch burning this piece of wood off that tap, or beating it with a hammer. Now this is ready to come out of here. Now, the reason we went from one chuck to another mandrel back to a chuck was to get this to be running concentric or perfect to the other block. So if I'm lucky, I can come back and get that perfect, when I glue it up, I can get that perfect grain match. And it looks really, really good if you got a highly figured woods. And what have we lost? We have lost 1/8 of an inch. We'll get a good grain match on it. Oh, and I don't spray this with accelerator because I don't want it to get brittle. I want it to cure on its own. That accelerator will make the glue brittle. Okay? It brings it up too fast, too hard. And you're not looking for that. So when you can, allow CA to naturally harden or naturally come up to its strength. That's medium thick. There's some flexibles I like. The black flex is really cool because it doesn't pop off if you got something that moves a lot or is going to move a lot. I had someone the other day ask me about using CA to do segments, and I asked them if they lost a bet, because white glue works the best on segments. Now, we're going to do almost the exact same thing over here. This time, we're going to clean this up. I'm going to be careful not to remove too much of the front. I'm not going to go between centers because I'm going to work on his face right off the bat. So, we chuck it up. It's in that mandrel. Watch how true it runs. Beautiful, isn't it? This is some beautiful. Rub the bevel, pull back, get a little bit of a bite. I'm rubbing this tip up here, this bevel. I'm rubbing this one right here. This one in the back has never done anything for the tool. But to see how I can get a great, straight, even slice, and when I get to that center, I let it work it off and cut it. If I pry it and pop it, I could get some grain damage. Although it's going away, it's not something you want to get in the habit of doing. Now, I have made this surface slightly concave. The way I get this cave means cave. Vex is, alright, slightly concave, slightly dipped. I need to put the female rings on this side. There's not a lot of give. That's what you get. Okay, so we're essentially going to do the same thing. We're going to take out some center, and because we're going to put the nut, that's a T-nut, that tool, that part I can remember. Just in case you were writing me a memo. And I cannot find this tool. This tool is trapezoid shaped. It's smaller on the bottom than it is at the top, the way you're looking at it. It is about 5/16 by a quarter. They call it a 1/4 or 6 millimeter tool. It was available at Packard. I can't find it anymore. I'd love to have a handful of them. I'm really looking for the tool blank. Figure if I told you I'm telling the best turners in the world and y'all will find them for me. Right down through the center. Don't forget you have a ring to put in there, so you don't want to be too big. Again, we'll get close and then we check it. We get an idea where we're going. Boy, we're right on it now. Yeah, we go another little bitty bit and we'll have it for the ring. And we're going to set this one in the same kind of glue. Hey, I'm just going to mention this. If you've never joined us, on Saturday afternoon and on Wednesday evenings, you're invited to join us for WoodCam. WoodCam is live, interactive wood turning on your internet. All you have to do is go to Ustream TV, Ustream TV, and search Making Shavings. Or go to my homepage of my website at www.eddiecastelin.com and you will find a link on the homepage to Ustream TV. and join us Wednesdays. And oh yeah, by the way, if you subscribe, you'll be told when we go on. Just like if you subscribe to YouTube, you'll know when the new ones come out. You'll get the email the minute they come out. Now, I've got the ring the right size, and I checked that by putting it upside down. There it is. That's about as deep as I need it to be. You don't want to have any trash trapped in there. So, and you want to make sure it's clean, good clean cut. Now, the bottom ring is not cut to the right size, so we're going to take, for this reveal right here, we're going to take a little bit more out. And that'll get us to the right size. And that's also going to be the size we're going to hollow below that, so that we can put the compass in and our T-nut. It's amazing how my brain would not go there. They say I feel blockage in my carotid artery. Is that making my brain dead? No joke. We're going to get the blockage taken care of. All right. Almost, man, I mean, we're getting close. Well, I'm just not paying enough attention to it. So I'm going to get this fitted. Then we'll glue it. I was wrong just now, and after I shut the camera off, I realized that I don't want to fit it and glue it just yet. I still need to get the compass in there. And the compass is a fairly snug fit down in here. And right now, it won't go. You see, I'm close. Because it's got to be just a little bit smaller than that ring that we're looking at there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out the spot for the compass and push it down a little bit and get where I can put that T-nut in. And that doesn't impact the ring at all. I had to preserve where the ring went, but now we're away from there. In a moment I'm going to find the center of this. There we are. What I did was just punch through so that this nut will go all the way through to the hole I have for the mandrel. Now, that is the shavings. Oh boy. Now let's explain what we have done here. This is deep enough to hold the compass. Okay. Under this divot is another spot for the T-nut to go. Now the compass fits very tightly. Okay. So we want to make sure it fits in there nice and flat. Which means cleaning up that depression, getting rid of any shoulder that's in there, and then the T-nut will go in the bottom. We'll drive it in with the drift pin, and it will be just the right length to come through, or be close for that screw to fit in on the bottom. Then we'll glue the ring. That's the procedure. I have a way of putting these together to get a pretty good grain match. We glued this together a little while ago. Remember, that white is wax, a very high grade wax. I'm going to put the rings together. Get them tight. Nope. A little bit slippery with the wax on it. What I'm going to do is put these rings together, get them snugged up, and then clean the wax off of everything that I need to glue to. But not what I don't want to glue to. I want the wax in those joints, in that joint right there. I want to pull wax up and get it in and massage it into that joint, because the last thing I want is glue to enter that joint. So I'm going to have it all full of wax, and then I'm going to clean off the ring that it mounts to. I've done this a dozen times. I think I've got 2 pieces I've had to break to get them apart. So it's not a perfect scheme or a routine. It's just a way to do it. But I want to make sure I have wax where I don't want glue. Now, what I did was mark my match. You see that pencil mark and this pencil mark? That's my match. That's where I want the grain match to be. Now, if a grain match is not important to you, you don't have to worry about any of this. 1 bead of glue, wiped in. I don't want it on the face, so I'll wipe it off the face. And then, see how long this has taken me? That's what you get with medium thick super glue, because I didn't have all my ducks lined up in a row. Now, it's still good. It's still moving a little bit. It's still going to work out. I'm going to bring this up, put it right there, get my grain match, put a little bit of pressure on it, and now when I go back to reshaping this in a little while, this grain will look like it goes all the way through, and a good placement of that joint will hide the whole thing. Or, well, I'll show you a couple options. Time has passed, 30 minutes or so, and we're now going to start putting this thing to shape. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I can bring it up, put it between centers. I still have my match, and that's going to be pretty good. Bring speed up to about 2,000 RPMs, and then very gentle cuts. Start shaping this up. It's my joint, don't want to lose track of it. And I want to stay between centers. You don't want to make it too small. You don't want to make it pointy. You want it to feel comfortable in your hand. If in doubt, turn one first. See how it feels to you. Out of scrap wood, pardon me. Then we're going to come around. See, there's our joint. Remember, we have a 25mm ring in there, so we can't go too small there. A nice soft radius. Then I think this is as big as I want the bottom. I bring the rest of this down a little bit. Now this cut I'm making, I'm riding this bevel. I'm not wild edging it to tear it up. You see? On, off, on, off, on, off. Just by twisting the handle. I like that spot because I'm going to be able to decorate a little bit there. I'm going to push down to it and then come around and push up to it. We still got a pretty good grain match. We had a little bit of slip on it, but that was because we're way concave on some of the other parts. So going to we know we're safe here. You want it to feel comfortable all across your entire hand when you grab it. Not just on a cap. You're going to be grabbing this thing to climb with. One note, we didn't do anything about fixing this bottom, and it's going to be sitting on something, so we want to clean this up. That's pretty simple. Just took a little tool and cleaned that up. Now we have this. I'm going to back the steady it with my hand, and then clean up this cut up here. Why steady it with my hand? Because I'm pushing on it being held on the mandrel, and I could get a little vibration, especially if you get a heavy cut going. Now, watch the cut with this tool. I can pick up just a little bitty light cut way down here. When you get near the center, I want to reduce that cut because I don't want to pry it off. I want to cut that, not break it. If I'm too hard on it, that center will always have a different color. Because I've torn the wood. Real gentle, take it right off. Now, we're going to sand it and start a finish. This is a 400 grit paper. This is an automotive grade PSA thing that one of my students brought by and said, "Hey, look, this is great paper." Not really. But said I'd try it. I've now tried it. The double folding, and I'd really rather the Sia-Soft or Sia-Soft from Vince's Wood Wonders. This is so much better and easier to work with, and I like working with it wet also. Alright, I'm going to take this to a 600 grit. Okay, now nice grit. Then we're going to put 2 coats of a sanding sealer, and the sanding sealer I prefer is Deft, D-E-F-T, lacquer sanding sealer. Just makes the color pop, doesn't it? Doesn't it just make that thing sparkle? Well, maybe not sparkle, but looks good. While we're doing this, let me explain that if you want to get fancy, that at this point you could burn a couple of marks and hit it. Really won't affect the grip or the grab of the piece, but it would accent it, and you could maybe disguise the joint, which we still have here. We will always have the joint, but it'll help disguise it a little bit if you want to hide it. Be reluctant. I would be reluctant to put rings up here, grooves, spiral, or anything else The original I showed you was not good for putting your hand on, but that walking stick had a strap, and most of the time I was grabbing the strap and the vertical handle and not the cap. Consider the user. If you're putting your hand on it, it won't be as comfortable if you have that in decoration in the cap. This is also a perfect situation where you can do some cast acrylics into the top, do a recess in the top, put a medallion, a coin, or anything else, and then put some acrylic over the top of it and sand it back out. It'll look really good. Now that's just 2 coats of the sanding sealer. We still have the wax and the threads here, and that's going to keep the rest of the finish from getting down inside. That and a good careful application. Okay, nice. Cover screws right on nicely. That all does nice. We're going to put a gap in it. You can't see it, and I can't get the camera far enough over. We're going to put a gap in it to start the rest of the finish. After this cures about 15-20 minutes, then we are going to put a few coats of super glue finish on it. This is in accordance with the CA finish that I've shown you in a couple of videos. You have to have a sealer underneath it. You have to allow the sealer time to cure. If you rush it, it'll curdle. And then you apply the CA in quick swipe coats. And I'll give you a warning once we get to it. We're going to wait about 5 or 10 minutes to get into that. Time has passed. I've got my pieces of blue paper towel. Got my rubber gloves on. And we're going to start applying the CA. Speed is about 600 RPMs. One quick pass. Now, pay attention to that part of the application. This is super thin Starbond EMO2. Super thin CA. It dries in 1.3 seconds. To go back over the top of it is a major sin. A little bit goes on the towel, and then you're adding finish every coat. But let me tell you what happens if you go backwards. It's not like rolling paint where you add coats. What you've done is take the first coat and rolled it, and it's moving. It's not quite set. And you're pushing the first coat up as you're adding the other coat to go behind it. So you go back and forth, and you're building ridges. Don't build ridges. Now, I normally do about 4 passes. And then I will set it, not cure it. I set it by spraying some accelerator that's made for the product on a paper towel, and then wiping it. But I'm going to let it set. Remember, 1.3 seconds after I applied it, it started to set. Now, the accelerator is not to accelerate it. It is to set the finish. It is to bond it in, lock it down. Accelerator contains enough products to damage the CA. So I put a little accelerator on a pad, and then I come across to set it. Now it's ready to be sanded before we start, and I'll go to about 800 grit, and I'll knock any ridges and high spots and bumps and anything else off of it, and it will continue with the finish as I explained in the 2 videos. If you haven't seen those, subscribe to my channel. You'll get access to all the videos, and you'll get a notice when a new one comes out. We did about 12 coats. It took about 10 minutes. Doesn't take much. Okay. okay? And we have them on there. We sanded it with 800, and then the next 4 coats we did it with 1,000. And then we put our T-nut down in the bottom using a mandrel, which was a 3/4 inch hardwood dowel. And then we added our compass. See, our compass is down in there. It's a 25 millimeter compass from Treeline. And we have the threaded top. And the whole thing makes for a nice top to your walking stick. See, now, variation on a theme. All right, want to be fair. You have turned it all the way through, cut a pocket in it, put a coin, a coin from a foreign country, your state, or whatever. Put a coin in there. Turn it back out and polish it out. Now, U.S. Treasury Service may be upset you used the coin, but you didn't crush it on a railroad track, so hey, you're better off than those kids. And it makes for a nice presentation piece. We've been in the shop today, right here, making shavings. Now, if you subscribe to my videos, you'll get more than just this one video. Like a while back, we did a video on how to turn this magnetic pen holder with a Corian insert. A lot of people asking about it. But the most common question was, have you ever thought about turning one with an accent out of wood? Well, the very next video did this, but those folks didn't subscribe or weren't subscribers, so they didn't know that next video was out there. So subscribe and you will find all these videos. I mean, that wall is full of videos. Right there. All ready for you. All you have to do is subscribe and voila. And voila is a technical term in this case. All right? I'm Captain Eddie Castle, and you be good. See you soon. If I can ever help you, email me at eddiecastle@cox.net. This is the email address. And don't forget, if you're looking for carbide cutters, you should be looking to me. www.eddiecastle.com. This address, this one right here. Go there. Look under cutters only. You will find, this is the truth, the lowest prices on carbide cutters on this here planet. Yes, I've got the cutters. Measure your cutters. Check my cutters only page. I got them for you at the best prices ever. All right, how many other guys can say that? Well, they wouldn't say it because it wouldn't be true. But they can't say it because it wouldn't be true. They couldn't say it. All right, I think I'm okay. See you later. Take care. It's time to polish out some stuff. All I gotta do is find the remote.